independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
San Francisco is the first city in the state to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections.
As a parent myself and a former member of the San Francisco Board of Education, it is critical that the voices of all parents are at the table, particularly those who have historically been denied a voice in the process.
Oh, San Francisco. First, can we talk about the denial of the voice in the process is a voice that they shouldn't have because for many people, they're not here legally. And I say many people. San Francisco is now moved to the point where they're going to allow non-citizens to vote. It's a horrible idea. I think we can all agree what a horrible idea this is to allow non-citizens to vote with one caveat, and this is me. If you're a resident, you own a home, you own a business, you live here, and it's a school board election, which is what this is starting out to be, and you're a legal resident. You're here legally. You own property, you own a business. When it comes to things like school board elections, I don't have a problem. If you have kids in school, you own a home, you pay property taxes, that goes towards school funding. There, I have no problem. But in the end, this wasn't set up for those legal residents because they're the lucky ones. No, San Francisco's doing something that everybody knows that once we head down this slippery slope, there is no turning back. And this is what California, this is what a lot of people have been afraid was going to happen. People on the right were clamoring. This is it. They want people to vote. They want people to vote. They want people to vote. No, never going to happen. You guys don't understand. No, they're going to push. They're going to push. Not going to happen. They're not going to happen. You're never going to understand it. This is just, that's a lie. We just want them here. No, you guys want them for voters. You want them for voters. Never going to happen. It's happening. And you're starting to head down that slippery slope. And it's beginning. And it is beginning.
The measure to allow non-citizens who are eligible to vote for members of the Board of Education passed in 2016.
We want to give immigrants the right to vote.
It just makes you say, what? Wait, what? Why? What are you, wait, what? This is what's happening. San Francisco has other issues that are massive. Most importantly, right now, the fact that your city smells like a giant crapper. Even your new mayor's like, we got to do something. It stinks here. But this is what they're doing because there is a bigger picture here. California, the worry of sanctuary cities and sanctuary state and the whole nine yards was this is where we are headed. This is where we are going. This is where this is going to lead to. And everybody's like, no, the insurance comes. But as we all know, there's a bigger game here. It's a long game that they're looking at. The Democrats have never, they've never been honest about why they want illegal immigration the way they want it. The fact is, it's not about empathy. It's not about caring. That's used as a guise to try to tug at heartstrings. The reality is, it's about the fact that they're able to keep their fiefdom because the people that they're quote unquote going to champion for are going to be the people that continue to keep them in power.
This November will be the first election in which non-citizens can register to vote.
Third time was a charm.
School board member Matt Haney was the co-author of the resolution endorsing the measure. He says the school board was in full support of it.
I think it's critical that all of our families have an opportunity to have a voice in the governance of their schools.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating. I have seen this happening for years. I have seen, and many of you listening, you've seen this as well. And it starts with a little thing like, hey, everybody should get a license. Hey, everybody should be able to do this. Hey, everybody should be able to do that. Hey, shouldn't we just? And like I've just said here, if you're a homeowner, so you're a resident, right? You've got the prerequisite visas. You own a business here. You're a taxpayer. You're a permanent resident, but you're not giving up your citizenship of another country, but you're going to live here. I got no problem with you voting in school board elections. I got zero problem with that. You're paying your taxes. You're doing your part, which is more than probably a lot of people can say out there are people who are citizens of this country. But the frustration level is here. It's through the roof because there was always a plan and everybody got told if you even try to go against that and say this is what the plan is and this is what they're going to start with and this slope is going to, genie, pop out of the bottle. Where's it going? Let's get it. Let's put it back in. You're not putting it back in the bottle. And then it'll be, well, they should be allowed to vote in the cities they live in for council people. And then it'll be, well, the state they live in. But only California, they should be allowed to vote. This is the frustration level that so many people felt. But if you raised any concerns, what happened to you? You're a xenophobe. You're a racist. How dare you? I'm here to tell you guys, you're being played too.
But not everyone agrees. Harmeet Dillon is the Republican National Committee woman from California. She says she voted against the measure in 2016.
And the reason I voted against it is that I think the right to vote is something that goes along with citizenship and should be.
Yeah, that's the right. I couldn't vote on elections when I was in England. When I was there, you know what I was? I was a resident. I had the visas. I had all of that stuff. That's what I was. Right? If I wasn't a resident, I couldn't have gotten my national health insurance card. I couldn't have gotten my license and all those things. But I was a resident. I went through the steps to become a resident because I was an employee over there working in a specific industry. And I had to jump through hoops to get all of these things. And in doing so, paid taxes, did all of those things. Couldn't vote. Couldn't have voted. But this is where we're going with this. And it is a slippery, slippery slope.
Dillon says the school board is already obligated to look out for the interests of all children in the system.
But I don't think that people who have otherwise tenuous ties to San Francisco, given their lack of legal residence, should be making long-term decisions about that structure and process.
You know what? And this is one of those things. And let me tell you how this works. Because of the shouting and the screaming, because of that. And I love what she says, tenuous ties to San Francisco, meaning that they're not really there. My mother, a few years ago, when they were voting, they were going to close one of the schools in a certain area around her house. And my mother was on one of the boards there. And because all the kids, all my little brothers, my adopted nieces and nephews, who are my brothers and sisters now, if you're new to the show, they were going to these schools. And my mom's like, look, she talked about stuff like this because they're allowing a lot of people to vote. And my mom's like, look, so many of these people here who are having a chance to vote, they're here in some ways as transients. They're going to be here for a year or two, and their voice is going to be a matter where homeowners, the people who pay tax and all that, their voices are going to be shut down because there's more of others. And sure enough, the homeowners, if you will, lost the vote, and they had to move. They closed the school where it was right in the heart of where all the homeowners were, all the taxpayers were, and they brandished my mom a racist. And I laughed my ass off. But that's what they do in situations like this. That's what they do. If you dare say, wait a minute, no. You can't do this. We're not really thinking about doing this. We're not really, you can't be serious. They're serious and they're doing it.
Prospective voters can request a non-citizen voter registration form in person at the Department of Elections, online, or by phone. The deadline to register is October 22nd.
The non-citizen voter registration. That's here. That's coming. That's now. San Francisco, California, you managed to be ahead of the game again. Wrong game, but you're ahead of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hope you're doing well. Happy Thursday. A lot of stuff to get to today. We're going to get to it all. California Supreme Court said, not so fast out there, breaking into 3. We're going to touch on that. John McLaughlin's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk about midterms coming up because this is going to be an important year for Trump. And whether people want to believe it or not, he is on the ballot and how that fares for the Republicans, maybe how he fares as president. We're going to touch on that as well. A lot of other stuff, too, some fun stuff to get to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What do you think about that? Are you happy? Do you think that's right? And I'm very open-minded in so many things, but I'm not ridiculous. I'm not an idiot. And like I said, I'm fine with, if you want to vote for a school board election and you're a resident of a city and you pay taxes and you own a home, you own a business, I got no problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. It's the other things I have a problem with, that's not meant for thee. This is the slippery slope and that first step we take, and that's why you can't be trusted, government. That right there. 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
I sadly beseech President Trump to apologize to the American people for his disgraceful, dangerous, and damaging behavior with Putin in Helsinki.
Apologize. Now, I just want, so wait, is he apologizing to the Finnish people? Is he apologizing to the Americans? I'm just curious. Who's he apologizing to? He should apologize. It was bad. He should say, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. You move on with your life. But that doesn't matter, right? None of it matters. It's just, the whole stuff with Trump at times is mind-numbing. And I'm going to say this. I want my president to succeed. If you don't, and I'll say it over and over again, if you want your president to fail, if that is your dream, because you don't like this guy, and you want this president to fail, I'm here to tell you right now, that is about as un-American as you can get. I didn't want President Obama to fail. And if Hillary Clinton was president of these here United States of America, I would not want her to fail. I want my president to succeed. In saying that, can't have another week like this week. Can't. Just can't do it. Cannot do it. It's got to be better. I think he knows that. I would like to see this, and I think a lot of people echo this. I think it's, we're well over a year into this thing, right? This isn't like the first 6 months. We've been waiting for him to get his sea legs, waiting for everybody to kind of come and get a feel for the position. He's got to be better, and I think there needs to be some people around him. And I know that circle is shrinking over time, but he really needs to start putting some political people around him so we can focus more on policy rather than this kind of stuff. Because this stuff, the drama that's around him, that's going to be there, but we don't need more for no reason. And we don't need to make something go from bad to worse, if that makes sense. And I would like to see him bring a couple people into the fold who have been around the block a time or two in D.C., who maybe could, just before he goes out there, really get in his ear and say, let's stick to the script, right? Let's stick to the script. It's okay every once in a while that he goes a bit off script. I don't want him to change I want him to be who he is, but at the same time, I also want him to recognize that the position that you're in, at times, you got to learn to lay up. I play a lot of golf. You might think you can hit it over the water, and you may be right, but every once in a while, you got to learn to lay up and chip over the water rather than just trying to go for it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Each and every day at this time, we like to bring you a little ditty we simply call our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Oh, kids, this one here is perfect. Sad clown. Sad clown. Someone who's really depressed but hides it. Paints themselves with a cheery mask, pretends everything is okay, but it's all a lie. And I'm going to use it in the sentence right now. Nancy Pelosi is a sad clown. That's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
A new study shows processed meats like bacon, ham, and hot dogs are bad for your mental health. Researchers at Johns Hopkins say people who eat meats cured with nitrates are 3 times more likely to experience a manic episode. Added nitrates are also associated with hyperactivity and insomnia.
You lost me at bacon. That's all I have to say. We've said it over and over again. If you could live to be 84 or 82, 84 is without bacon, 82 is with bacon, we're having bacon. We're having bacon. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, investing is important. I think the right time to invest is now. Opportunities are out there. Fluctuating market is fine, but what are you going to do with some of that money because you're worried about what if? Or maybe you've got some extra money out there and you say, I'd like to do something with it. Future of investing is cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. It's real. Now is the time to learn. But before you can earn, you've got to learn. Tiki Tuard from the Palm Beach Letter, former guy that worked on Wall Street, hedge fund guy, understands it. He's put together a course just for my listeners that is going to dazzle you. You're going to love it. He's going to teach you everything you need to know. The ups, the downs, the hows. How do I buy this thing? Where do I get it? Do I have to have a server farm? All of these kind of things that you're going to need to know before you can start to earn. Why not learn? Learn from the best. A great course is out there. He's ready for you. It's simple and it's easy. Go to amazingcryptoclass.com. That's amazingcryptoclass.com. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to learn. Then you're really going to want to earn. Amazingcryptoclass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you when you do. Text the program 323-538-2423. I misspoke. We actually got tech guy Paul Lamone coming on. John McLaughlin's going to join us next hour. Paul Lamone, little tech talk straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
It is Thursday. Thursday means we talk tech nerd stuff. Joining us, the biggest nerd of all, Paul Lamone. Paul, there's a lot of good stuff I want to get to. First and foremost, let's start in Hollyweird. Hollyweird is an amazing place. The things they can do nowadays compared to, you go back to the Ray Harryhausen days. For those of you who don't know, he was the great claymation guy who made all those great Sinbad movies and those great movies back in the day with the dinosaurs. We've come a long way. And now we've got artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is doing what? Is it helping or hurting Hollywood?
You know, it's helping it. It's right now, all these amazing artificial intelligence algorithms are helping to lessen the workload of the scriptwriters, of the special effects people, of all these people in Hollywood that struggle just to get the movie made just because technology is a pain in the butt. So, for example...
Is it getting more expensive? I'm just curious about that. Is it getting more expensive or less expensive in the world of Hollywood, meaning special effects movies?
It's going to help decrease the expense. And it's also going to probably decrease a lot of jobs at the end of the day. Because they're showing like the Avengers movie, the last Avengers movie with Thanos. The actor of Thanos, he was on stage, he was, acting with the audience, and the artificial intelligence went in and even not just recognized his facial movements and the expressions he had on his face, but went down to how his skin was wrinkling when he'd make expressions and translated all of that into the 3D model that became the Thanos character, which then was just kind of edited by the actual physical human being artist. That's huge. So that's the kind of stuff where instead of all, for the longest time, 3D characters kind of had a fake look to them. Now they're getting super realistic and expressions, and actors' performances are coming through, but it's because of the breakthroughs of a lot of this artificial intelligence.
When are we going to have 3D AI rendered movie where there is no actors, that the AI does everything itself? How soon till that?
So that's the next step. So the next step is saying that because the AI can recognize all this, it can store it. And if it can store it, it now knows how to create a story pattern and to fit an emotional pattern to that story. So I've stored the emotions and looks and the feels of all these actors. I can pull those out and figure out how to recreate what the script wants me to create. And the scary thing is now it can even start to attempt to write the scripts. So very soon, so the cool thing is, and it's something I talked about yesterday with a bunch of AI people, was in the soon future, which could be 5-10 years, but not that far away, when you like a movie, if you make choice of I want to follow this character because I like him more, the movie will then tailor the story to your decisions, not just to what the scriptwriter wanted to tell you. So you could follow, in the Avengers movie, I might follow Captain America instead of Iron Man. Because I like one of them more, the movie will focus on that and will write itself on the fly. That's
nuts. Which is nuts. It's going to be nuts. What's that book you can play with where you can make your own, you can go your own direction?
Choose Your Own Adventures. It's like the old, think of those old Choose Your Own Adventure books, but now done at a level of a Hollywood movie.
So you could potentially, in the future, talking to Paul Lamone, our tech guy, you could do, let's say you have 5 or 6 characters and one bad guy. You could shoot 5 or 6 somewhat separate movies, all converging at the end for the big battle, whatever, and you could follow those people. You could say, I want to follow so-and-so, or I want to follow such and such, and you can go off and do that. So that could be interesting.
It can be very interesting. And so yesterday, at the table, we were at this table with all these AI guys. One of them was one of the guys that helped build Watson, which was IBM's supercomputer that ended up winning Jeopardy because it can understand language and then it can tell you answers to things. And we were discussing the future of this where you just give the artificial intelligence the motivation of each character. So when it comes to a situation, it acts out what that character would do because it has the personality profile built into it. And that kind of stuff sounds amazing. So I, as a user sitting at home watching Netflix, for example, would say, oh, yeah, I think Iron Man should go off in this direction. And all of a sudden, it renders it in real time. The animations and the effects, they look human. And it takes the story off in the direction that I chose, which was completely different, for example, in the direction you chose.
So
and it's right.
I listened to you there and talk about it, and that sounds all exciting. If I'm in Hollywood and I'm an artist and this was my job and I'm one of these people that this potentially could come in and either help me with or hurt me with, there are going to be a few artists, I'm sure, who this freedom is going to allow them to do a lot, but there also could be a potential of a lot of people going, oh, I'm asked out of a job.
100%, because you have people used to spoon feeding people their stories and their information. This is the story I want to tell you. You have no ability to change it, no ability to do anything. Sit in the theater seat and listen to the story I'm going to tell you. And a lot of us from the interactive arena have always said, well, we think the audience should be able to participate in our stories. They should be able to have the ability to say, no, I like this guy over this guy. I think we should go here instead of there. And it's becoming this huge opportunity for us where you're right. There's a lot of the more traditional filmmaking people that see it as, wait, you mean I can't force you to go down this exact path? And I think that, we've had those stories will never go away. A good story is a good story. But the ability for me to put my own imprint on a story, I think is going to be revolutionary when it comes to entertainment.
Talking to Paul Lamone, our tech nerd. We move from there, Monsieur Paul, to, yes, a very interesting thing. The Chinese and what they're doing with facial recognition is because there's a lot of debate over here, because I know that Amazon and a lot of other places, Google and stuff have their facial recognition, and it seems great, and it's very interesting because now people, even the end user could be you or me. What the Chinese are doing is something a little bit different.
Well, it's to start with, they're actually creating a social ID system. So not only do they recognize you with all these cameras everywhere, they see whether or not you're doing good for their society. And it can impact your employment. It can impact your rates at a hotel. All kinds of things happen based on your digital profile they're creating about you. This other step that was revealed is they're now starting to read employees' brainwaves to see whether you're anxious or upset or angry, which is terrifying because they're saying what they're trying to do is saying, hey, if I can see my employees are angry or upset, maybe I can mitigate it before it turns into something bad. But when you think about it, they're taking our brainwaves, or the employees' brainwaves, and monitoring them to the point where I know this person's having a bad day. He's working in a sensitive area of high machinery or something that might, be detrimental to the rest of the factory workers. If he has consecutive bad days, I should probably fire him. That starts to become really creepy when you start to think about that, because now they're just saying that I don't just have to perform my job, I have to be in the emotional state also to make sure that I'm not jeopardizing my job, not just making sure my job's going well. And that sounds really creepy to me.
That is, that right there, that is very creepy because, over here, we'll have some company will say, hey, that sounds like a great idea. But the difference is we're not going to spy on you like that. We're going to spy on you and find out why your job, and it's not spying. We want to find out why you're not smiling at work, why you're not happy at work, why you're not bouncing around at work, why you are not doing all of these things, because we want you to be happy, but there's always an underlying reason they would do something like that. Not saying that, there are companies out there that are trying to figure something out. They got cameras everywhere nowadays. But to be able to do it to this kind of level, and they'll spin it. Oh, it's just we want to make sure you're happy. That's a scary thing.
Well, I think that's the phraseology you use, which is scary. We want to make sure you're happy. It almost becomes a threat at some point. It almost is like, hey, you're working at this job, you better be happy. And to me, that's where technology is starting to go off the rails. The problem is these factories are reporting that they're increasing their profit margins because of this kind of monitoring. Because they're monitoring it, they're increasing it by 10, 20, 30, sometimes even 40%, because they're mitigating their employees' angst, whether that means firing them or changing jobs or not allowing a guy to have a promotion. All these ways, they're increasing their profit margins, which means that there's no reason why a company would stop using this kind of technology. It would only encourage them to increase using it.
Better do your
job. Even at the end of the day, exactly. If it hurts to me, it shouldn't matter. I could be surly every day at work. As long as I'm getting my work done, what does it matter?
No, you can't. I know you, Paul. You cannot be surly. There's nothing surly about you at all. Talking to Paul Lamone, our tech guy. Last question, and then we'll let you go. Appreciate you coming on today. We get him every Thursday. Paul Lamone from Arvada Labs and WarePlay. What's the hot new game that we're looking at coming out soon? Because I hear Fortnite. Everybody's playing that. But what's the next? What are the kids going to be gravitating towards next?
That's a hard one because Fortnite really has become a juggernaut. $1 billion. It was averaging $200 million a month, and it's a free game. So you play it for free, and you just buy stuff, like skins and stuff for your characters inside the game, and they're already hit the $1 billion point. So to me, it's this interesting thing that these multiplayer games, massive multiplayer, it's 100 people in a environment all trying to be the last man standing, are becoming the new trend. So when I'm looking at the forefront of what's coming out in games, that's what I'm trying to find. It doesn't have to be a big title. It doesn't even have to be by a big publisher. It has to be a game that's starting to tap into this multiplayer elements that people are really liking, but not just in the Me Too phase, in a way that says, hey, I'm going to do something slightly different or a little more innovative than you've done, and even in Fortnite, and I'm going to give you this massive community experience and competitive
What do you think
experience.
Fortnite cost to make?
Yeah, actually, it probably wasn't all that much. I mean, it was the Unreal team in the Unreal Engine, and it originally released as a much smaller experience. So the company PUBG, which made a game that Fortnite kind of copied, was only 30 people. So it cost under probably about 20 million, probably close to 10 million to make. So let's say even Fortnite cost 3 times that. It's $1 billion now and still going strong.
Yeah.
The profit margins on that were ridiculous. And I think people have to realize that too. When games, because of technology, are starting to get cheaper to make, but their profit margins are starting to increase. And that's kind of fun. Of course, I'm talking from a game development point of view.
Yeah. Well, that is an exciting thing when you can think about the fact that you can make something for cheap. And it's like, what's it, Minecraft? What the guys spend to make Minecraft?
Well, remember, Minecraft was made by himself originally.
Yeah.
One guy built Minecraft, and he couldn't even afford a new pair of shoes at the time. He was a very poor man. Now, it was about 5 years later, he was buying one of the most expensive homes in L.A.
Actually outbid Jay-Z and Beyonce for that house.
Exactly. And so from not being able to afford shoes to one of the most expensive homes in L.A. was about a 5-year journey. That's amazing.
Right. He's got Kylie Jenner kind of money. Paul Lamone's our guest. We appreciate you coming on. As always, Paul, we'll talk to you next Thursday. We'll let you get out of the car and go back into your coffee shop. We'll find out what your adventure takes us next week. Talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's so funny. Phil goes, I wonder what restaurant he's at today. He's at a coffee shop. DMV last week, restaurant before that. That's how he rolls. Oh, man. Speaking of jobs, things made easier. Your company is booming. You need to expand. You're looking for the right employee. You don't have a lot of time because time is money. You don't want to waste that time, and you want to get the most bang for your buck. There is a company out there that's going to help you. It's called ZipRecruiter. Single click, over 100-plus job sites. Boom, away it goes. Then they get to work. Their technology is amazing. They're actually going to go out and hunt for the person that's perfect for you. They're going to give you all kinds of candidates. Then they're going to zero in on a few candidates that are a little bit extra special just for you. It is incredible what ZipRecruiter can do. Does not matter. Any city, any industry, nationwide. You don't have to worry about juggling emails, calls to your office. Quickly screen the candidates, rate them, hire the right person fast. And it doesn't matter the size of your company. Fortune 100 companies down to mom and pop shops. That's what ZipRecruiter does. You want that right employee? You want that person to become that employee? ZipRecruiter is the way to go. How about this? Post your job for free today. That's it. Free. Simple and easy. All you have to do is go to ZipRecruiter.com/report. ZipRecruiter.com/report. Post your job for free today. ZipRecruiter.com/report. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Chad Benson Show.
A bird in the hand is worth 140 on Twitter, so tweet your beak off at Chad Benson Show Twitter. And if instant gratification is your thing, hit Chad up on Instagram at Chad Benson. Your bird will thank you.
Good morning, Vietnam. Here we go with another day's version of the Dawn Buster Show from Armed Forces Radio. I'm Airman Adrian Cronauer, and for the next 4 hours, we've got the best in popular music for you here, so let's get started right now with music.
Gotta be honest, didn't sound anything like the movie. Good morning, Vietnam. I'm going to go out there and say this. Robin Williams put a little mustard on the character. What say you, America? Well, Adrian Cronauer passed away. He was a real person, for those of you not keeping score. He died today at 79 years old. And this was a guy who, again, during the Vietnam War, was all that, was a lifeline to both home and a comfort for a lot of the men fighting there. And he was something they looked forward to. In a weird way, he became a massive pseudo-celebrity in a part of the world that was a war zone. And that is kind of interesting. And hence the reason why in 1987 they did the movie Good Morning Vietnam. But Adrian Cronauer actually died today at age 79. Sad. Very sad. You know what's not sad? The Brady Bunch.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up 3 babies.
If you want the house, it is for sale. That's right. It is for sale. Now, you got to have a few bucks. The family bought the house back, a ways. I think in 60-something. They've had it for 45 years. 61 grand is what they paid for it. What's it go for now? $1.885 million according to Zillow. It is at 112222 Dilling Street in North Hollywood, California. And it's big. It's a big-ass house. 2,477 square feet. On a quarter-acre lot. And in L.A., kids, that's some good money right there. Now, the actual TV show's interior, it does not look like that. It is, that was filmed on a lot. But it still looks like the outside of the house. They bought it in 73. Violet and George McAllister. And it is for sale. It is yours if you want it for the asking. Now, they've said they would like to sell it to somebody who's going to preserve it as part of Americana. They would said they like to do that. So they're not going to take some developer coming in right away. If they don't get the offers and stuff they want, they'll probably entertain that. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody who rolls in and they said, they would prefer the buyer retain the house the way it is. But we'll see what happens, because a lot like that, in an area like that, what you could put on there, double, triple your money. But if you've got $1.885 million, it's all yours. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
San Francisco is the first city in the state to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections.
As a parent myself and a former member of the San Francisco Board of Education, it is critical that the voices of all parents are at the table, particularly those who have historically been denied a voice in the process.
Denied a voice in the process. This is San Francisco's new thing, right? This is their new jam. This is what they're doing here that's their new jam, right? Because they don't want to deal with a lot of the other problems they have in San Francisco, and there is plenty of problems in San Francisco, like homelessness, right? Does anybody else, right, understand? They have apps where you can go on and find out what streets are the poopiest. But the good news is non-citizens now can vote in elections for school boards and things like that, which doesn't seem like a lot. Oh, Chad, it's a school board election. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. That is an issue. That is a big deal. I've said, and I maintain this, if you're a resident here legally, meaning you own a home, you own a business, you own both, you're supposed to be here. You did all of the work, the hoops, like you jump through this hoop, now jump rope, and then you go over here, jump up there. It's like, Ninja Warrior. You do all of those things, and you're legally supposed to be here. And you want to vote in a school board election? I wouldn't have a problem with that if you're legally supposed to be here. Now, other elections, I probably would definitely have a problem with that. But non-citizens, we're not talking about those. We're talking about people that are here not in the legal sense. And San Francisco's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Who wants to do it? Let's do it. Let's do it.
The measure to allow non-citizens who are eligible to vote for members of the Board of Education passed in 2016.
We want to give immigrants the right to vote.
It is a mess. It is a mess. It really is. And this is their big thing. And there's a bottle, and inside the bottle has a genie. And when you take the bottle and you open the bottle and the genie gets out of the bottle and you want to put the genie back in the bottle, it doesn't happen. And this is the beginning of something they've wanted all along. How can they do this? What can they do? How can they push forward? And it starts at something small, and people say, no, it's never going to happen. And then when it does, well, it's no big deal. It's something small. And well, that'll never happen. And when it does, it's like, again, it's something small. And you don't have to go big leaps to find out what they're doing. And it is frustrating to everybody else out there. I'm frustrated because this, to me, is just another step in insanity that a place like California and a place like San Francisco takes, because it isn't going to be too long where other cities have tried this. They've tossed the idea around. They've even said, hey, maybe we'll put it to a vote. And it's not worked out. San Francisco's gone the extra mile and implemented it. And that, to me, is a slippery slope that we're heading down.
This November will be the first election in which non-citizens can register to vote.
Third time was a charm.
School board member Matt Haney was the co-author of the resolution endorsing the measure. He says the school board was in full support of it.
I think it's critical that all of our families have an opportunity to have a voice in the governance of their schools.
Do you really think it's that critical? Do you? I'm curious about how critical you really think it is. Because I look at this as a slap in the face of American citizens, of Californians that are here, born and raised, right? Some moved here, citizens that have done it right. As far as they came over here, they did all the work, and now you're saying this. And Chad, I know I'm going to get, you're being, the usual crap. You're a xenophobe. You're all of these things. No, the reality is my grandfather came from Mexico. He did everything right. And when he became a citizen, he was so excited to have that right to vote. And many people in this country take that right for they just piss it away. They don't understand how precious and how amazing that right is. But this right here, I think, is ridiculous. And I'm not jumping too far ahead. First it was, let's give everybody licenses, regardless of what their citizen status, and their resident status should be. Let's give everybody licenses. And let's figure out how we can get them, health insurance. And it just starts to go and go and go and go. And when you have places that become these one-party fiefdoms, and they get these outrageous ideas, and they're going to resist and push back, and they don't care what. And I'm telling you, it is frustrating as hell. And I feel bad for people. You can empathize with the journey and the things that people are going through, and many of them that come here that are really good people, that are just trying to live their life. I can look at them and I can feel empathy and I can understand what they're going through. And at the same time, I can look at them and say, you have no idea how you're being used by one political party for their gain. And they can tell you they care about you. They can tell you they want to fight for you. All they really want is your vote. That's as far as they're going to fight. The minute you give them that, they don't care about anything else. You know what they are? They're that guy that wants to sleep with you, and the minute they have a chance to do it and they get it, they stop calling until you're ready to be that booty call again. And that is very sad.
But not everyone agrees. Harmeet Dillon is the Republican National Committee woman from California. She says she voted against the measure in 2016.
And the reason I voted against it is that I think the right to vote is something that goes along with citizenship and should be.
Yeah. That's right. And by the way, there are already protections and opportunities for people to have their say, regardless if they vote or not. They can go to meetings and do all of these kind of things, as our good friend Jim Kennedy from the Kennedy Institute of Public Opinion just sent us. That's true. You can do all of those things. Nobody's going to pop you for going in there and say, oh, here comes somebody who's not supposed to be here. No, you have that. You just don't have the right to vote. And the fear factor that, a lot of people say, oh, you're overreacting. No, it's not, because when you give an inch, they take a yard. When you give a yard, they take forever. And that's what's happening here.
Dillon says the school board is already obligated to look out for the interests of all children in the system.
But I don't think that people who have otherwise tenuous ties to San Francisco, given their lack of legal residence, should be making long-term decisions about that structure and process.
And that is vital right there. And my mother got in trouble for it a few years ago for bringing up that same thing when she was representing, because there was 4 schools and they were going to condense it to 3 schools. They were voting which one was going to be basically closed down. And at a meeting where she was on a board representing parents of a certain school, she said, look, you've got the area where you want to keep one of these schools open is an area where, quite frankly, most of it is apartments. And because of that, you don't have long-term stability as far as people are going to be voting. And those votes, they're going to be voting on stuff, and then they're going to be leaving. And the taxpayers here who are footing the bill, they aren't getting the same kind of say. Next day, she's branded as a racist, a xenophobe, all of these kind of things. Because the reality is, black, white, green, orange, people who move to apartments don't stay there for 20 years unless they own it. Oh, some do every once in a while, but by and large, it's a transient thing. You're moving to a better, hopefully better, bigger place, or you're moving on, or you're just there temporarily, or whatever it is. And that's true. But this right here, this just shows you the ridiculousness of what we have allowed to happen in our country. Because we refuse to do the right thing. And this goes to both sides and their failures to do the right thing when it came to immigration many, 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 many years ago. And now we've got one side that's fighting to make sure that we can close the border because they realized that while their donors enjoyed the cheap labor, the fact is the other side is building up a voter base. And who suffers in all of this? Us, citizens, the taxpayers. It's frustrating. I'm telling you, man, my idea is I have gotten more people said, your idea about the whole, hey, if we're North America, why don't we have work visas and do like Europe does where we can just travel in and out of each other's countries and work? That'd be a great idea. I'm telling you, that's the idea right there. And Republicans, your asses need to get behind this because what that does is it solves a huge problem when it comes to voting, which is what you're really afraid for, seeing the electorate change. The electorate may change tremendously, but you do this and it doesn't because many people are going to say, I don't want to be a citizen with the chance to come here and work and stay here for 6 months or a year and then go home, seasonal and things like that. Oh, that'd be huge. What would the Democrats do then? Just a question. Solves problems. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. They're an amazing organization. Speaking of somebody who will go and advocate on your behalf on things like this, common sense, immigration reform, Medicare, Social Security, stuff like that. They're called AMAC, and they are incredible. I've partnered with them. And besides all the stuff they're going to do for you, because they share a lot of your values and being able to go out there and advocate for things that you care about in a way that you care about it, unlike that giant ARP that doesn't. They also have benefits that are incredible. 40% off movie tickets, access to all kinds of things like supplemental dental plans to save you up to 60% off. Also, how about this? 40% off theme parks, SeaWorld, Legoland, Six Flags, Disneyland, Disney World. That's just to name a few. Discount hotel bookings for rental car, travel, things of that nature, plus retail and restaurant discounts. All you have to do is be over 50. And guess what? Because of our partnership, you're allowed to join for free. Free. Does not cost you a penny. No cost, no tricks, no credit card required. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. You join for free. You can even call them on the phone, 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. Or again, online at amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
My outrage is genuine. I'll tell you that right now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chris, what's happening, man? You want to talk about San Francisco's sweet move here to allow non-citizens to vote in certain elections?
Yeah, I think it's messed up because I think that is part of the privilege of being a citizen. And I think we have to look at the long term. What happens if they elect, let's just say, and don't take this the wrong way, but what happens if they elect one of their own kind and all of a sudden they want to dictate policy and say they legalize immigrants drawing welfare?
Well, this is only what they're saying right now, Chris, and I understand what you're saying, is what if they said, hey, we're going to have somebody run, which I think in theory you probably could, but this is only school board. So school board is only they're going to be allowed to vote for, at least at this time. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the future because remember, there is a slippery slope in situations like this, and that slippery slope is once you start here, somebody's not going to be happy, and they're going to have to move on to something else. They're going to want something else. They're going to want a little bit more, and it's frustrating. And I hear what Chris is saying. I appreciate your call, Chris. The reality is, though, that California and some of these other sanctuary cities, they've tried this before. They've looked at this, and California's saying, hey, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And remember, people that come here and they're of whatever you want to call them, illegal aliens, undocumented, now they're non-citizens, whatever name you want to give that makes you feel good. You can go to school board meetings. You can do all of these things already. You just can't vote. And now that we're allowing this, when is it for the next step that says, hey, look, you can't vote for national. You can't even vote for a statewide issue. When it comes to, sending people, Congress people and senators. But you know what? You're going to be able to vote for mayor. And maybe you'll get a vote for certain bonds or stuff. That's where it starts, is something like this. And that is the frustration. It does. It really it doesn't make sense. And the frustration out there for a lot of people is going to be huge. And I get it. I understand. I do. I look at this and I see what my grandfather went through to become a citizen of this country. He is from Mexico. He has a very thick accent. We always joke. He looks like Saddam Hussein. And we always joke with him. And it's great. He calls me Shad. He's a Shad. And I will tell you this right now. He looks at stuff like this and it frustrates him. And he understands because he came here. But he did it the right way. He knew there was a right way of doing it. Now, granted, it was long ago, and it was much easier. And that's why I say we've got to start taking a look at ways of doing certain things in this country, because the immigration problem that we have is there are so many issues with it. There are issues with the fact that we're giving money to countries to try to stabilize them, and their governments are corrupt and they're falling apart, which leads to issues where people are saying, hey, look at all the crime. Look at the fact that we have nowhere to go and no chance of doing anything here. So then they flee those countries, and then they come here, and our government turns a blind eye for decades and decades after promising not to turn a blind eye for decades and decades. And this is the issue we have. So why not say, let's step outside the box and look at different solutions to this problem? But one solution is not giving people that aren't citizens, particularly people that are here illegally. I've said, if it's a school board thing and you want to vote on, and you're a citizen or you're a resident, you own a house, you own a business in this country, you pay taxes, I don't have a problem with that. But if you're here illegally, I do have a problem. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Let's pivot, as we like to do. Look at the midterm elections. Is Trump on the ballot? John McLaughlin joins us straight ahead right here, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
If you look out your window, you can see November not too far away. Will it be a giving year A Thanksgiving kind of year for the president, and the GOP are not joining us now. Former Trump pollster, a GOP pollster right now, John McLaughlin joins us. And John, I look out there and I see an interesting time. A lot can happen between now and November, but Trump is on the ballot. That is the reality, whether people want to believe that or not. On the right, he is on the ballot this year.
Well, half of it on the ballot. The Democrats want his liabilities on the ballot, and the key for the Republicans to win is actually to motivate the Trump voters, because our strategy to win in 2016 was to bring out new voters, because you had fewer voters vote in 2012. Romney, Obama, it was less than the previous election. So you had 90 million people who were eligible to vote in 2012 that didn't vote. And part of the Trump campaign strategy was to find out who voters were that didn't vote in 2012 that would vote for President Trump. And we had a record turnout, 139 million voters in 2016, 9 million more than came out 4 years before. And those are the voters that made the difference for Donald Trump, that basically our heartland strategy of winning the Sun Belt and the Rust Belt was able to win. And those voters came out and they were voting for change. They wanted to move away from Barack Obama's policies. They wanted to make America strong again. They absolutely were security-minded voters, but they were also concerned about trade and jobs and taxes and government overreach. And the president basically, he was this blue-collar billionaire that motivated the working class in America to come back out and vote. Now, the midterms, you only get 90 million voters usually come out in the midterms. So there's 63 million Trump voters who came out in 2016 that if they feel the president is being unfairly attacked or his policies are being stopped by the Democrats, they'll come back out again. And the last time we asked it in a national survey, the generic ballot, the Republicans and the Democrats were tied at 44%, and the Republican voters overwhelmingly support the president's policies. But the 12% that's undecided, they're really up for grabs. And the Republicans in Congress need to really move the president's agenda. There's a lot of things going on. Like this week, they did vote on ICE. They said the Democrats, you Democrats, you want to get rid of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Act that tracks down MS-13 and other criminals in the United States. Let's make you vote on that. And they made them vote on that. The Republicans, it wasn't getting much news in the mainstream media, but the Republicans stood up, and they stood up for enforcing the immigration laws, and the Democrats didn't. And it's things like that that will get our vote back out and make it effective. If they want to turn this into a referendum on the president, we'll turn it into a referendum on the issues that he's popular on, whether it's workfare, upholding the laws, protecting the country, national security. So the Democrats, that strategy could backfire, and that's why a lot of people said that blue wave they thought was coming is evaporating.
Talking to John McLaughlin, a GOP pollster. And, I look out there and, John, there's a lot of issues out there. Immigration's a big issue, trade, the whole 9 year, all of that stuff is. But in the end of the day, when we go into that ballot box, one of the thing that's always in the top 3 or 5, no matter what, those other 4 could change all the time. But the economy, our pocketbook is always there. And how important is this, the really what we're rolling out? We'll find out what the next GDP is going to be in the last quarter and all of those things. How important is that going to be for the president and indeed for the Republicans?
Very important, because when Tuesday I was in Washington, I saw my good friend Larry Kudlow at the White House, who's his economic advisor. And Larry, during the campaign, he's a longtime friend, but during the campaign, he worked with the president to put together a really good tax cut plan that passed, and the Republicans passed it without a single Democrat vote. Every Democrat that's there in the Senate and in Congress voted against this. Now, the economy's growing, and people are saying they're seeing help wanted signs again. They're feeling good in their jobs. They feel like they can look around for maybe a better paying job, and they're getting raises again a little bit. So some people say it's booming. It's not booming yet, but it's growing. So those policies are in place. And the day that I saw them, the president, the day I saw Larry Kudlow, the president and Larry were saying that the economy is continuing to grow. There's very little signs of a recession on the horizon. And our surveys say, in our last June survey, national survey, when we asked them, is the economy getting better or worse, the majority of Americans said 56% it's getting better, only 33 worse. And in fact, the number of people who thought the country was in a recession had actually fallen to only like 22%. On election day in 2016, when President Trump got elected, 40% of all Americans thought the country was still in recession, and they voted for the president over 70%. So there's a good sense of economic optimism going on in the country that should help the Republicans and should help the president. But the president realizes that you can't just stand on what you've done. You got to keep moving forward. And they were announcing what they call Tax Cuts 2.0, where they want to make the standard deduction for people permanent. The child tax care credit, they want that to be permanent. They want the rates that they lowered for middle-class Americans to be permanent. And they want to expand IRAs, 401ks for retirement savings. And right now, the Democrats don't seem to have any appetite for it, but the Republicans, once again, should bring it up for a vote so that people know economic expansion is really something that President Trump and the Republicans acted on. And I'll bet you this time you would actually get some Democrats that would be in a tough position that would have to vote for us, because there's so many Democrats up in states where their Senate seats are up that President Trump carried those states, and some of them he carried by double digits.
Absolutely. Talking to John McLaughlin here. Well, I'm not talking. He's talking. That's the beauty of it. He's a GOP pollster. Worked with Trump during the campaign. You know, let's talk about a couple here things real quick. First and foremost, they would love to take back the House, the Senate. They've got too much to defend. I know the excitement is that they can do this because of the resist movement, all of that, but we forget in a lot of these states they've got too many seats that they have to defend. So the reality is maybe the Senate, the House, it's probably not going to be both. If it's one, it's definitely not going to be both. I don't think.
No, they're not going to get the Senate back. In fact, the Republicans should gain Senate seats, and some Democrat incumbents. Some Democrat incumbents are in trouble, and you might have some surprises. Like Rick Scott seems to be a little ahead right now in Florida, and that was one the Democrats didn't think with Bill Nelson. They thought he'd be a shoo-in again. He's not, and that's a state President Trump carried. But then you have states that he carried by double digits. Senator Manchin in West Virginia is in trouble. Claire McCaskill in Missouri is in trouble. Tester in Montana is in trouble, and Donnelly in Indiana is in trouble. And the president carried all those states by double digits. So the Republicans are looking good to pick up Senate seats, and also the Supreme Court vote for Judge Kavanaugh is going to be critical, in making those decisions. And on the House side, yes, there's a lot of Republicans up that are in seats that maybe Hillary Clinton had won, but a lot of those incumbents are strong on their own. Plus, you have a lot of open seats where President Trump, on the congressional side, on the House side, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be closer. But if the Republicans between now and November push the president's agenda for change, for draining the swamp in Washington, if they push that agenda, they'll keep the House. So it's really up to the House members, because they're the ones on the ballot, and their leadership has to realize that they have to give people a reason to vote, that they can say, well, the Republicans are trying to work with the president and move his agenda forward to bring change to Washington. When we asked them last month, should the president and Congress continue to push for change away from the policies of President Barack Obama, or should you continue President Obama's policies? 47-42, the majority of Americans want to change. And those who are undecided for Congress want change as well. So the president has only just begun to bring about the kind of changes we need on the policy side. And the Republicans who want to stay in Congress need to make sure that those policies get enacted.
Talking to John McLaughlin, the GOP pollster out there. The left is going further left. And there's a difference. And I say this, there's the ultra conservative and there's Republicans, there's the Democrats, and then there's the progressives who are going further and further left. Do they have an identity crisis right now? Because it feels kind of like where the Republicans were more than a few years ago, where they're trying to figure out who is doing what. And now you've got the left going further left. And I think in many ways, like the abolishment of ICE and all of these kind of things, this may backfire on them somewhat, and I could be wrong, in November.
No, it will. And what's happening is the president was elected because Barack Obama may have been a nice guy, but his policies failed. And he was elected to basically he was the most anti-Obama candidate out there, so he won the nomination, and he was able to win the election based on that. But what he really did was, besides doing that, he was the first candidate since maybe Andrew Jackson, and I told him this in the December before he took office in 2016. He's the first candidate in history ever to beat the Republican establishment and then go on and beat the Washington establishment. And what you see right now is people still don't like the establishment. They want those things changed, and they want to basically. And you're seeing, when you're talking about it with the Democrats, you're seeing an overreaction from the Democrat establishment, who's totally in bed with the Washington establishment, that they're going farther left, farther anti-Trump. They're totally deranged. I mean, you can have a summit with the leader of North Korea to talk about getting rid of nuclear weapons, and they're basically like saying there's something wrong with that. And then at the same time, the disrespect for the president. He met with Vladimir Putin, and they're accusing him of treason. I mean, could you imagine if you said that about Barack Obama when he was in office? He met with Putin lots of times, and he actually. Well,
I think the thing that's hanging over their head, John, is this narrative that Russia won him the election, so they've got to have naked pictures of him or something like that. And I think until this Mueller investigation plays itself out, and until I see concrete proof, which is what I want to see, which is what everybody should see. Let it play itself out. And I think that's where a lot of the people are coming from. But yeah, the reality is the calling for treason. I just step back and say, talk about an overreaction.
Yeah, but they believe their own Kool-Aid. And you know what the president's line should be said when they asked about Russian collusion, and they should have said, because those of us in the campaign know it was totally made up and fictional. But what gets us really mad is, okay, there's no collusion with Russia, and that's been proven after a year of House hearings and Senate hearings, et cetera, and investigations. There is no collusion, and there never was any collusion. But you know where there was collusion and people did try to meddle in the election? In the CIA and the FBI. They created a phony dossier that they got from the Democrat National Committee and paid millions of dollars for it, along with the Hillary Clinton campaign. And then they went on to spy on our campaign. And that has been proven. And that's scary stuff. And that's something that they really need to have a full-scale investigation of, and then pass some laws that you should not be allowed, if you're in the FBI and CIA, you should not be allowed to interfere in any elections in the United States. That's the kind of things they were afraid of with Richard Nixon back in the 70s during Watergate. Well, guess what? The Obama administration did it, and did President Obama, did he know about this? And did he condone this? It seems that John Brennan at the CIA actually had the dossier, brought it to the attention, and the FBI then used it to get a wiretap or surveillance on the Trump campaign. And that's scary stuff.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. John McLaughlin, a former GOP pollster for Trump and a pollster out there right now for the Republicans. Appreciate you taking time with us today, man. Look forward to talking to you again.
Chad, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, brother. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. I just, the whole Russia thing, I just let it play itself out at this point in time. I don't want to hear from either side about this. I think to me, I'm at the point where it's like we've talked ourselves out. Let's just let it happen. It's like the Super Bowl, right? On Sunday morning, you wake up for the Super Bowl. They start at 8 a.m. and they go till kickoff. At some point in time, let's let this thing play out, and then we'll go from there. Because it's all speculations. It's all he said, she said. It's going to come out. Let it come out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You call it ridiculous. We call it reality. with a twist. Say what?
Their call wasn't answered by authorities in Lisbon, Portugal. Instead, it was answered over 3,000 miles away in Lisbon, Maine.
I'm going to stay with you, okay? I'm going to try to get you help. I'm in the state of Maine in the United States, but I'm going to try to get somebody.
Within 20 minutes, Portuguese first responders had the family out of the elevator.
Could you imagine that? So let's say you were in Paris and you're stuck in an elevator and you make a phone call, and instead of Paris, you got Paris, Texas, or Paris, California, Rome, Georgia, Athens. Oh, my Lord. That there, kids, makes me laugh. Little things like that. You're like, say what? By the way, Shark Week is this week, and apparently they're rolling out all of the promotion they can get.
2 children are recovering after 2 possible shark attacks off the coast of Fire Island, New York.
It was like 1 second, it went like that, and then it just let go immediately.
13-year-old Matthew Donaldson and 12-year-old Lola Polina both described similar terrifying scenes playing out Wednesday morning.
Yeah, Chad, I know, I'm already getting the text. That's horrible. It's a joke. It's 30 years of Shark Week, and they say possible because I'm not quite sure one of them or either of them were bit by a shark, but it happened near each other in a quick time. This isn't the first time this has happened. Sharks are out there. We tell you every day. When you go into nature, at times nature will mess you up. Both of the kids were fine. And I'm amazed that people think there's no sharks. There's sharks in all waters. So just know that. If you've been in the ocean, chances are you've been around a shark. You just didn't know you were around a shark. So remember that and take it every time you go out there. You go, that Chad guy mentions the fact that nature can mess you up. I'm still going to go have fun. Not going to let it stop me. But it is on my mind. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me if you'd like to. My Pillow is amazing. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. Absolutely amazing. I have never slept better in my adult life. It is incredible. It is incredible. It is incredible. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm getting 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep when normally I would get 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep. I feel refreshed. I feel alive. I feel bouncy. And now you can too. And you can BOGO it right now. Buy one, get one free. All you have to do is call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. Yes, I do use the stuff I endorse. I love MyPillow. My son loves it. You will love it as well. Again, 800-944-4975, mypillow.com. You're going to use the promo code Benson. You're going to buy one, and you're going to get one free. mypillow.com, promo code Benson. Buy one, get one free. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, 323-538-2423. You can always text the program. And go like us on the old Facebook, kids. Why don't you do that as well? Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
But you haven't condemned Putin specifically. Do you hold him personally responsible?
Well, I would, because he's in charge of the country, just like I consider myself to be responsible for things that happen in this country. So certainly, as the leader of a country, you would have to hold him responsible, yes.
But is that enough? Just holding him responsible, right? Right? Now, we don't know what took place, again, behind closed doors the other day. And it's still, this is one of those things, while this story from this instance in Helsinki is probably not going to follow him, the story itself, the bigger story of Russia, the meddling, all of that will always be that dark cloud over his presidency, no matter what happens. He could go on and have 6 successful years of just incredible economic growth and prosperity and peace in our country. And in the end, This will still hang over him. And for many, he will be the president that deserves an asterisk by his name.
What'd you say to him?
Very strong on the fact that we can't have meddling, we can't have any of that. Now, look, we're also living in a grown-up world. Will a strong statement, President Obama supposedly made a strong statement. Nobody heard it. But I let him know we can't have this. We're not going to have it. And that's the way it's going to be.
I don't know what went on there. I don't know what went on there behind closed doors, because that's a lot of what we're speculating now. We're speculating the behind closed door. Marina Gross was Trump's interpreter. The Democrats are calling, hey, we want to be able to talk to her. We want to see what the notes were. We want to be able to do that. We should be able to do that. And along party lines, a vote on whether or not we should be able to subpoena her or not to check out and see if there was that. Along party lines, it was voted as, nah, we're not going to do that.
I think is incumbent on us, given what the president said publicly that was of such great concern to our country, to our NATO allies, that we find out what was said privately.
That's Adam Schiff right there. Obviously a super huge fan of Trump.
This is an extraordinary circumstance in which the president did not want his national security advisor, John Bolton, present, did not want his CIA director present, or his Secretary of State present.
Is it two leaders sitting down by themselves chatting? Is that I don't find that weird. Everybody else does. And here's my thing. Take Russia off the table as far as hanging over the cloud that Russia is the reason, right? If that wasn't there, would it be weird? Probably not. But because of Russia, because of all of that stuff, it is definitely a situation where people go into this, and because it's been implanted into our psyche, the only thing that comes to mind for a good majority of people on the left is there is nefariousness going on there. They're maybe planning their next thing, all of this stuff. Man, some of the things I get texted about this is insane. And I go back to the poll question we had the other day, and what we talked about is the fact that I don't think it played the part that everybody else thinks it played, and that we're making this way bigger than it should be. We're making the pebble in our shoe a boulder coming down a hill at us. But some people think it, and some people think it because they're still looking for the why in what took place, the how in what took place on the November night in 2016. And let's not forget, this was hacking and stuff that was going on during an election cycle where this guy was campaigning to be president, not actually president of the United States. There was another guy on watch at the time. The intelligence community knew some stuff was going on, but how much did they know? What did they know? This was on your watch, right? Can't blame that on Trump. A lot of people would like to, hey, he specifically told them. And I think there's some people who believe that he specifically told them to do this, but that's on somebody else's watch. Right? That's on somebody else's watch. Let's not forget that. And then you've got everything he says now. And producer Phil and I talked about this the other day. You've never seen anybody who they literally they parse every word and every sentence he says. Everything he says. And they either take it as gospel, or, if he's answering 12 different questions and people just jump on him and say, it's like you were answering a different question. We're going to take it as this is the question. And it gets frustrating. The other day they asked him about, do you think it is still going on, that they're still hacking and spying? First of all, the answer to that is yes. And now, don't you think they're more emboldened to do so? Because according to some people, they're unstoppable, and it's wide open. Our election season is wide open. It really is. It's just completely wide open. There's no way that you can't influence well, hold on, that's not true. Yeah, obviously. Some people feel that way. So in answering that question, apparently, and I've seen it, it's hard to tell if he was saying no to this or no to no more questions. But, as we talked about, the hardest job in all of politics is Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
For the second time this week, the White House is in cleanup mode. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the president wasn't actually saying no to our question about whether Russia is still targeting the U.S.
I had a chance to speak with the president after those comments, and the president said thank you very much and was saying no to answering questions.
Except the reality is he answered not just once, but twice.
And that's what we're down to now, is we have to break this down, which is not good for Trump. It's not. But like everything, it's how it's presented. When I don't want to get to the point where we have to look and break everything down. Every little thing that he said. Was he really saying no to the Russians still hacking or trying to influence our elections? Or was he actually saying no and turn around walking away from more questions? That's where we are in this, and it drives me crazy. And that's why I've said all along, if there is there, then he's got to go. Can we all agree? Right? If there's truly there. But if there's not, got to shut up and deal with it, that he's the president, that she lost because she wasn't a good candidate. So we move on from there and accept that fact. It's going to come out in the Mueller investigation. It is going to happen. And at this point in time, that's what I'm waiting for. Right? That's what I'm waiting for.
I sadly beseech President Trump to apologize to the American people for his disgraceful, dangerous, and damaging behavior with Putin in Helsinki.
She's just, I don't know. So she needs to apologize to Helsinki, to the people, to everybody. You need to apologize. Please do. Please apologize. And this is the game that everybody plays in politics now. It's, once again, when I hear Democrats talk anymore, very rarely, and this goes for Republicans anymore too, because, well, they're mostly trying to defend the president, which is not a good place to be. But I don't hear what you're doing, Nancy, about stuff. You're trying to hold the president accountable, but what are you doing to make your constituents happy? What are you doing to better the country? Because you've been sent to represent people and you're in D.C. What are you guys doing better? We don't hear about that. Policy's out the window, right? Drama is in vogue. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hope you're doing well. I slept like a baby last night. Like a baby, Chad. Oh, baby. I did. My Pillow, thank you. It was great. It was wonderful. In fact, I'm going to do a test tonight. I'm going to sleep on the floor with my MyPillow. I bet you I sleep like a baby again. Didn't used to sleep like I do now. Only one change I've made, and that is MyPillow. You can sleep amazing. If you have trouble sleeping, or if you just want a better night's sleep, you get a good night's sleep, but you want the best night's sleep, that's what MyPillow is about. It's 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty, and you are not going to be disappointed. Right now, they got a great deal going on. It's a BOGO, just for my listeners. Buy one, get one free. Buy one, get one free. All you have to do is call 800-944-4975, or you can go to mypillow.com. When you do, use promo code Benson, BENSON. Remember, machine washable, machine dryable, backed by a 10-year warranty. It is incredible. The offer is limited. Get yours now. Get yourself two, or get yourself one and give yourself an opportunity to give somebody one. Maybe your partner, maybe, hey, here's something, Merry Christmas, because I like you that much. Buy one, get one free. MyPillow right now, 800-944-4975, or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. Buy one, get one free. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. What did Zuckerberg say that got everybody all upset? We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
So, Mark Zuckerberg, who, let's be real, over the last 24 months, I mean, he wasn't a recluse, but he definitely wasn't somebody that you would really see everywhere and under the spotlight. And after what took place in the election and him taking, and Facebook taking a bit of the blame, he's been a little bit more outspoken about stuff. And he's walking back something that he said the other day, and it was about Holocaust deniers. And it is interesting because I understand where he's coming from. And he's essentially saying, just because somebody's wrong about something for whatever reason, doesn't mean that we should take stuff like this down. And it is really interesting to see the backlash that's coming, because what I start to see here is, the media doesn't want to ever be pulled back on anything, right? Nor should they be. But we want places like Facebook to say, well, you can't do that. We want that. You should be the kind of the police, of, First Amendment rights can kind of go other ways, because you should be the police of this, and it's your business, and I understand that. But I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, he's in between a rock and a hard place, because you may find something disgusting, but remember, free speech is about the thing you don't like, not the thing you do like. And he's getting, he's had to kind of walk back some of things he said, and he walks that fine line because it's his business, and he gives you something for free, of which we are the product for advertisers to come and to fish for us. But it is a forum to use. And where is our freedoms in that forum? Even if you believe global warming's not real, or not man-made, and it's a natural, cycle that takes place, or that the Holocaust isn't real, or that, whatever. Should you have that right?
I just don't think that it is the right thing to say we are going to take someone off the platform if they get things wrong, even multiple times.
And here's, everybody's like, well, it's there. It's there. There's where you say, well, you get it wrong. Well, some people may not be anti-Semitic, but may not believe that the Holocaust happened in the way that the Holocaust actually happened. Right? So there's where he says, if they get it wrong, even if it's multiple times they get it wrong. And in this day and age, you have to be careful when you talk about things. Right? And I'm not talking about the average person going on there. I'm talking about people like Mark Zuckerberg and a lot of other people out there, because we live in a gotcha age. It's not if, but when you're going to slip up. And everybody's ready. Their fingers are on the keyboards and they're ready to go gotcha. For whatever reason, they're ready to go gotcha. And it feels like this is a gotcha moment.
I find that deeply offensive. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that our platform should take that down.
Do you? Do you think if somebody denies something like the Holocaust, for whatever reason, whether, they're anti-Semitic or it's just that they don't believe that it happened the way that people said it happened, do you think that that should be brought down? Whatever the case. We walk that fine line, again, where we're starting to police in certain ways, and we start have to asking ourselves, what's the next step? Because there's always a next step, as we know.
I just don't think that it is the right thing to say we are going to take someone off the platform if they get things wrong, even multiple times.
Interesting. And when does that start happening? When do we start suspending accounts or suspending certain things? Because they're already getting hammered for doing it with conservatives, suspending them for things they don't like, putting them in jail, if you will, Facebook jail for 30 days or for whatever reason. It's going to be very interesting to see what, goes on through here. But I'm interested in the way that at this moment in time that he seems to be defending a lot of stuff for a platform that he gave human beings, that they've taken it and turned it into a tool of their own whatever. And he's having to defend the tool that he's handed to people for free. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. San Francisco is thinking about doing something when it comes to voters and non-citizens. Oy vey. And Larry Fedora, the football coach at UNC, is, he is fighting back because he thinks football is under attack. Does he have a point? Talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I am in law enforcement.
Let me ask you the question.
Right and
do
wrong.
Do you think Donald Trump embraces and embodies conservative ideology? Remember, he used to be have a different position on pro-choice. He's imposing tariffs. He's against globalism. Do you think he is an ideologue that is faithful to conservative policies?
I'm not here to talk about what Donald Trump is and isn't.
But you brought him up about it. No, you got to answer the question.
Talk about you want to talk about Donald Trump? You tell me what metric in this country is worse off. Unemployment is lower than it's been in 50 years. Minorities, Hispanics, African Americans have jobs.
That's because of President Obama. That's Judge Pirro, who was on The View today, and that's because of President Obama. You heard that, right? That's because of President Obama. Okay, so that's because of President Obama. So don't worry, kids. That was the best part of how Judge Jeannie's thing went this morning, because so she's starting to answer the question, and then Whoopi jumps in. And remember, she's there to talk about her new book. We're going to have her on, I believe, next week. I think, is that it, Producer Phil? I think next week or whatever. Yeah. Talk about her book. And this is where it just goes. She's only been on there for a few seconds. This just started. Remember, she's talking about her new book. I'm all about debate. Let's debate.
Here's my question for you, because you talk about. I am not, Judge. Nobody is. Oh, yeah. Did you just point at me? Yeah. Listen, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have. Okay. I have I'm tired of people starting a conversation with Mexicans or liars and rapists. I'm tired of people starting a conversation about this country. Listen. I'm 62 years old. There have been a lot of people in office that I didn't agree with, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate.
Okay, so there you go, right? So she's getting a little hot and bothered. She's getting a little angry, right? Judge is going to fire back. So Judge Byro's on there, talk about her new book. Got a new book out, coming out. She's going to be on our show next week. She's doing the rounds, doing the TV thing. I see her all over the stage, the place, There she is here. There she is there. She's everywhere. She's on Fox, the whole 9 yards. So it gets to this point. Supposed to be talking about her book. Wants to come in. She knew politics was going to be involved. They know where she comes from. They know what side of the aisle. She's a judge. She's going into the lion's den. And then it just falls apart.
How long has the deep state been there, and who's running it?
Well, I want to answer your question because you had your opening statement, which was how horrible it is that Donald Trump is talking about all of these people.
Sorry, that's what you said. You said,
but you know what's horrible? When people who shouldn't be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible? When the president of the United States whips up people to beat the hell out of people. Say goodbye.
And there's your appearance. And I love how she doesn't say, yeah, you're right, that is horrible that happens. Nope, it's on to something else. It's, I'm going to fight an argument with another argument. And by the way, I don't know the judge at all. I've seen her, on Fox and the whole 9 yards. It's as they asked her a bunch of questions, and before she ever had a chance to ask her any questions, that was an ambush, is what that was. Right? You don't have to like somebody's politics. I have people on here that I don't fully agree with, but I give them a chance to speak. If I ask a question, I want to hear the answer. I may know what the answer is, but I at least want you to deliver the answer. At no time was she given an opportunity to deliver an answer. They asked a question, and before she could open her mouth, they attacked whatever answer that they thought she was going to give. That is just, to me, but that's what it is, right? Like, okay, and guys, in the mornings, you have First Take with Stephen A. Smith and I don't know who the other guy is. I always forget the other guy. He's a good guy. I like him. But you got him. Then you've got Skip and Shannon, right? And what is it? They argue about sports. Because that's the argument thing sucks people in. Ooh, people are going to argue. We're driving down the street. We see two people fighting on the side of the street, streaming around. We'll pull over sometimes. We'll slow down. We'll take a peek. The argument side. We're rubberneckers. This is, for all intents and purposes, the female version of that. The female version. We'll put a bunch of people and we'll bring one person on or maybe we'll have a person who is a little bit, let's be real. Meghan McCain's on there right now, but she's there kind of conservative. She hates this president, and rightly so. She has a personal reason to have disdain for this president. She does, because of what he said about her father, which was a bunch of crap, as we all know. But that was an ambush. That's what that was. That right there was 100% an ambush right there. San Francisco's doing something. Who's excited? The genie is coming out of the bottle. Get ready.
San Francisco is the first city in the state to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections.
As a parent myself and a former member of the San Francisco Board of Education, it is critical that the voices of all parents are at the table, particularly those who have historically been denied a voice in the process.
And it's funny because you could just tie what we heard onto this. It's always about somebody else that's not you, the citizen, that's not the taxpayer. It's always what can we do? Because everybody's voice should be heard. Everybody's voice should get something. Everybody should get something. And in this point in time, they seem to be just a little bit more important to you because what they are future customers, a.k.a. voters. And the fear in places like California and sanctuary cities across the country and eventually sanctuary states, because some other states are going to try to go this route. The fear has been what? If you just give them a little, they're going to take a lot. And I'm not talking about the people that are the quote-unquote, non-citizen voters, people that are here illegally, wandering nomads with great hearts, whatever you want to call them. I'm talking about the Democrats. And once the genie was out of the bottle, for many of these things, it's tough to put it back in. And that's if you're trying to put it back in the bottle. The reality is nobody in places like California are going to ever try to put it back in the bottle. That's not what they're trying to do. It'll be very interesting to see what takes place here now that the future of sanctuary states and cities is the fight is on. and we look at this, and now we're going to allow people who are non-citizens. And I have said, when it comes to things like local elections, school board, things like that, if you're a resident, meaning you've gone about the right way to come to this country, you have bought a home, you have started a business, for whatever reason that you've done, that you came here and you've done it right, and you want to vote in those elections, and you're a resident, a permanent resident. You've got your green card. You work here. You live here. This is your home. You've done it the right way, and you want to vote in a local election for school board. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. But that's not what we're talking about here. And that genie, out of the bottle. And putting it back in is going to be virtually impossible, even when you're trying. And we all know San Francisco in trying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Yesterday, so it's that time of the year where college football has their, they're rolling stuff out. They're going to be starting, NFL starting training camps. I think a good portion of camps will start this week. The rookies are in and stuff, and they'll do their thing. And college football has their media day where, the ACC, the SEC, the Pac-12, Big 12, they all get together. And they have their media day. You ask questions. And Larry Fedora is a coach with UNC. Right. So he is under a little bit of attack from a lot of people out there because of what he said about CTE and college football and football in general yesterday.
I'm not sure that anything is proven that football itself causes it. Now, we do know from what my understanding is that the repeated blows to the head cause it. So I'm assuming that every sport that you have, football included, could be a problem with that, right? As long as you've got any kind of contact, you can have that. That does not diminish the fact that the game is still safer than it's ever been in the history of the game, because we continue to tweak the game, to try to make it safer for our players.
So he's taken, remember, this is his livelihood, right? This is how he makes money. He coaches football. And he makes a great living at coaching football. And the game has come under attack to a certain extent. An attack that isn't so much about the game. It's about what happens after the game. What happens to your body. Because for years we didn't know. In particular, your brain. And in some cases, and I defended him yesterday, he is right. Football is safer than it's ever been when it comes to the things that they're doing. Nutritionally, they're learning a lot more. They're taking care of their bodies in ways that they'd never thought about taking care of their bodies. They are trying in every way, shape, or form to make the game safer for players to play, but it doesn't take away the fact that there is something that happens inherently after you hit your head time after time after time after time that causes issues. And he said, look, it has been proven. And it's not just football. It's all sports where there is, this violence. Hockey, they're looking at it. Soccer, they're looking at it with the repeated, I talked a bit about it yesterday. Wasn't great in the air. I think I could probably count back one decent goal I ever scored in the air in a game that ever mattered. Because I was 5'10". I was never going to be great in the air. But they're looking at all sports. What is the inherent risk was that? But he talked about a lot of stuff that, it wasn't just this. He talked about the fact that he thinks, if the sport goes down, so does America.
I fear that the game will get pushed so far to one extreme that you won't recognize the game 10 years from now. That's what I worry about. And I do believe that if it gets to that point, that our country goes down too.
And he later went on to say that because he feels that the things you learn, and sports to me, every child should play a sport. They may not be athletic. They may hate sports, but what you learn inside of those sports, what you learn, competition, teamwork, how to overcome, how to win, how to lose, all of those things, I think are invaluable lessons in life. They really are. I don't care what sport you play. I think everybody should learn and play a sport. And to that, I agree. But do I think America's going to go down? No. No, I don't. I don't think America's going to go down. I don't think America is a sport, if you will. But I do understand what he's saying. And especially for a lot, you got to think too, he coaches a lot of young men who come from areas where they don't have a lot. Sport is their ticket out. And for a lot of these guys, especially young African-American men, coaches and mentors along the way, because of the sport, that's huge. That's invaluable. That teaches them lessons in life that they carry on outside of the sport long after they finish playing. But he is wrong. CTE is proven. And repeated head trauma over and over and over again, even though you don't think there is anything happening, does do damage. And in some ways, yes, the sport is under attack. But what are we going to do? Because the reality is it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but changes are going to have to be made over and over again, and it may not be the same game in 10 years that it is right now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Cryptocurrency is amazing. I talked to a couple guys yesterday who actually took the course that you're going to be able to take, amazingcryptoclass.com, and they said, dude, it's amazing. It is incredible. It has taught me so much more. And they had actually been trading and had bought some crypto and stuff that they didn't even know about. So if you're interested in diversifying your portfolio, if you're interested in doing something when it comes to investing, to me, that is the future investing, let me show you a way. My buddy Tiki Tiwari from the Palm Beach Letters put together an amazing course. He worked on Wall Street. He was a former hedge fund guy. He gets it. And he's put together a course just for my listeners that are going to help you really understand the ins, the outs, the ups and the downs in the cryptocurrency world. How do you buy any of these? Which ones does he even recommend? What does the future look like for these? How do you spend them? All of those things he's going to answer for you and so much more. You can check it out for yourself at amazingcryptoclass.com, amazingcryptoclass.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We got your useless fact today. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Rent free.
So somebody just sent me something and said, hey, Chad, is this link real? And it's from one of these weird sites. And I'm like, no. And it was all about, you know, the Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and all of this stuff. And it's that's the stuff you've got to watch out for. That fake stuff is out there. And it is amazing because it looks like it's real. But it's not. It's not real at all. It's all fake. It is all fake. When you get down and you have to look, and if you see something, I always tell everybody, you know, the see something, say something. If you're looking at something and you're looking at it and you think to yourself, oh, this looks real. This looks real. But you're not quite sure, just Google it. Don't put the .com after it. Google it and find out. There's a lot of sites out there that are real sites that'll tell you, yeah, it's kind of fake. You got to watch out for stuff like this. Because if something is blockbuster, if something's massive, if something's huge, you'll hear about it. The news will cover it, right? If they found out today that it was China or North Korea that actually got into the servers of the DNC and did all this stuff, that's eventually going to come out. That's big enough news that changes a lot of the narrative, that whether the CNNs don't want to cover it, the Republicans and the Fox and all that stuff, they're going to come out and talk about that stuff. They will. So I tell everybody, people say, where do you get your stuff? I look everywhere, and what I do is I find 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 trusted sites and that I know I can go to. And then the other ones, I've got to piecemeal. I got to go here. I got to go there. I got to try to connect the story. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We got your useless fact of the day. The lobotomy. Yeah, you know that thing? The inventor of the lobotomy actually won a Nobel Prize for it. Think about those apples as you go about your day. Have a good rest of your Third Person Thursday. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.